Hello, welcome back to RetroBreak and welcome to my first video of 2020. I'm really excited. I've just come back from the post office and I've picked this up here. It's a game called Tobu Tobu Girl DX that I backed on Kickstarter about halfway through last year. So I'm super excited. Let's get it unboxed and then I'm going to do a bit of a review and also a comparison about the best way to play it as well. So thank you all so much for watching. Let's get straight into it. That's what comes in the box, and it looks like there's a poster in there as well, so let's have a look at the poster first. Some really nice artwork. I'll find out the name of the person who did the artwork for the game and put a link in the description so you can go and check out some of their other stuff. So let's see what else it came with. There's some coins here. I'll do some close-ups of all this. So it says first press on that side, and on the other side it's got a really nice picture of the Tobu Tobu girl herself and a cat, so that's really cool. And there's another coin here. I'm always so excited to get things like this. And this one has a cat on it as well. It says first press, but this one's kind of a bronze colour. And here it is, the game itself. And it's got a really nice reproduction Game Boy Color style box to go with it. I really love all the detail that's gone into this. There's some screenshots on the back and some text, as well as what Game Boys it's compatible with. So there's actually two posters in there, so I guess you can have both pictures up, which is cool. An instruction manual in full colour, which is always really nice to see. I love that they put so much effort into it. And some stickers as well, so that's amazing. I'll do a close-up of the instructions and flick through some of the pages, and I don't know whether I actually want to use these stickers or just keep them, because that's really cool. And of course then, we have the game itself, which is put on a really nice pink Game Boy cartridge here, really nice reproduction cart. Well, I've never actually seen a pink one before. There we go. I'll do a close-up of that as well. And it doesn't say Game Boy on the side, it actually says Dot Matrix series, with the series in colour, like the Game Boy Color logo. There's also the original soundtrack, which looks like it's on a mini CD. Okay, we've got a nice little fold-out 2-disc thing going on here. And yeah, like Gamecube disc size, but they're audio CDs. I'll play some music from the game in the background on this video, give you guys a listen. That's really cool. I didn't even remember it came with this. So there we go, that was a quick look at the amazing packaging by First Press Games. Absolutely amazing quality, I'm really impressed. But does the game live up to the outstanding quality of the packaging? Let's find out what I thought about it. Tobu Tobu Girl is a deceptively simple game. When you first start playing it, you'll most likely think there's not much more depth than a basic mobile jumping game, the kind of which you'd see on iOS or Android. After just a few minutes of playing though, you'll realise that there is a lot more to it than meets the eye. First of all, you have 3 boosts that you can use per jump. You do this by pressing A in a direction on the D-pad while in the air. Once you land on an enemy, it refills the boost so you're ready to use it again. If you use them all up, you'll start falling, and if there's no enemy within range, you're done for. Or so I thought. Another few minutes of trying and failing to get anywhere, I found the boost button. By holding down the B button, it allows you to fly straight up for a short amount of time. Tobu Tobu Girl DX is practice makes perfect in game form. The more I played, the easier I found it to string together combos of dashes, jumps and boosts. The game itself though is very challenging, and it can become extremely frustrating. You'll be tearing your hair out and throwing the Game Boy across the room after failing for the 100th time in a row. Then, just as I was about to give up through frustration, I realised that you can actually recharge the boost meter by dashing straight down into an enemy. By mixing all of these skills together, you're in with a much better chance of reaching the end of the stage. It's one of those one more go type games where a quick gameplay session can easily turn into several hours. The thing that makes the game so addictive is the fact that it's so well programmed. Every time you lose, you know it's all down to your own skill, not the fault of the game. The graphics are really cute and simple, which is great for this kind of game. The sprites stand out well from the backgrounds, even on the original Game Boy systems, which are known for having some terrible screens. It's still pretty easy to see what's going on. When I was playing it on the actual Game Boy, I was getting really frustrated, and I knew that it wasn't just my own fault. I realised that it was the fault of the system that I was playing the game on, you really need to find a system that you're comfortable with that has a really nice D-pad. So out of pure frustration, I found every single device that I could play this game on and decided to test them all out to show you guys the definitive way to play this game. So let's take a look at all of the different options you have for playing this game using the original cartridge, and I'm going to list them from worst to best. Here we go. I even went through all the effort of dusting off the Retron 5, which I haven't used now in a few years. Unfortunately though, the controller that comes with the Retron was really bad for playing Game Boy games, when it even responded at all. The Retron 5 actually uses other controllers as well, which were a lot better, but I'll get back to them a bit later on in the comparison. All I can say for now though is the Retron 5 controller is definitely at the bottom of the list. Also, just for fun, I decided to try it out on the Superboy using the Super Game Boy. Of course that was a terrible idea because the Superboy has one of the worst D-pads I've ever used, ever. It really is horrible. As you can see here, it just keeps messing up every single direction you try and press. I do wonder how many other people have tried playing the game this way though. Next up, unfortunately, is the Gameboy Light. Although I like the idea of the console, the D-pad really isn't that good, and for some reason the screen's actually a lot harder to see compared to the Game Boy Pocket, especially with the light turned off. And even with the light turned on, the ghosting of the screen is pretty bad, so sometimes you can't even see if you're about to go into an enemy or not, just like what happened here. If you want to go the backlit Game Boy route, you're much better off getting a backlit Game Boy Pocket, as I'm showing here. The ghosting isn't as bad as the Game Boy Light, and it's definitely a lot better than the original Game Boy. But unfortunately, the D-pad isn't great on the one that I've got. And then again, quite unfortunately, near the bottom of the list for me is the Game Boy Color. I find the D-pad to be far too small for my thumb, and it's also a little bit stiff as well. Next up is the original Game Boy. Although it's a lot more comfortable than the Game Boy Color and the D-pad is quite a bit better, of course the screen on the original Game Boy is by far the worst way of actually seeing this game. Then, surprisingly, next on the list is the Gamecube. Playing it with the analog stick wasn't actually as bad as I anticipated it would be. I was really hoping the GBA SP was going to be one of the best ways to play the game, but unfortunately the really flat D-pad didn't really lend the game any favours, although it was nice to actually have a proper backlight though. One of the problems with the SP was the form factor. When you play in original Game Boy games, for some reason sometimes I accidentally knock the L and R buttons and put the game into widescreen, which isn't a problem that I had with the GBA. This is the original GBA here. I do have a modded one, but the D-pad on that one is a bit wonky, but the original GBA is really comfy to use and it was definitely one of the best ways to play the game on an actual handheld. Next, I was trying out some controllers for the Retron 5 and I thought the NES pad played the game really well. It feels like the game would have done really well if it was actually released on the NES. And I also decided to try out the Dogbone controller too, which played just as good as the original. Even better than the NES though was the Mega Drive or Genesis pad. I really like the D-pad on this controller and the buttons feel really nice in the hand. And another great way of playing this game is on the Retro Freak using the controller that it came with. It's very reminiscent of a SNES pad and it feels really great in the hand, although it's not quite as good as an actual SNES controller. And definitely my favourite way of playing the game on an actual Game Boy is with the Game Boy Pocket. I find the screen on the Game Boy Pocket to be really vibrant considering it doesn't have a backlight, and the D-pad feels really nice too. But by far my favourite way of playing the game, and the way that I've really enjoyed playing it so far, is actually on the SNES, using the Super Game Boy and the official SNES controller. The game was actually made with the Super Game Boy in mind, so you get a really nice border, and you get it kind of in colour. Not as much colour as you'd get from actually playing it on a Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance, but they did the best they could using the SNES's capabilities, and I think it looks really great. So finally, once I'd managed to find the perfect way to play the game, I fell in love with it. I really did. It was one of the biggest shifts in opinion that I've ever had about a game ever. I went from absolutely hating it to thinking that it's one of the best games on the whole system. I really feel like if it was released when the Game Boy was still around, it would become known as a classic today, and I honestly believe it would be in many people's favourite game lists from their childhoods. And once you've finished 3 out of the 4 levels in the game, you unlock a new mode called Heaven, which is an infinite game mode. And when I unlocked this, I got completely obsessed with it. It's like I was playing a completely different game. Honestly, this mode on its own is just as addictive as the original Tetris for the Game Boy. I couldn't stop playing it, I played it for hours. So thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this review of Tobu Tobu Girl DX. The game is actually free to play online, so I'll put a link in the description so you can go and download a ROM for yourself and check it out. That's it from me for this episode. Stay tuned because I've got loads of amazing episodes coming throughout the rest of 2020. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you can check them all out when they get uploaded every single Friday. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye.